Hey guys, Pork Chopper here, and in today's video we're going to look at the Offlane. If you want to check out my mid lane guide or my many other hero and deck guides, the playlists are in the description below. If you have any requests of what guides or videos you want me to do next, leave a comment below and let me know. But anyway, let's get into it. The two biggest objectives for an offlaner is to stay alive and not farm the carry up, and secondly is to keep your towers alive for as long as possible. The only other thing an offlaner should be worrying about is denying farm from the enemy carry, but that's not as important as the first two. Normally the offlaner's role lasts around 20 minutes or so before the 2v1 scenario disappears, so that's what this guide will cover. The offlane role is a very unique role too, and is more of a filler to help suit the team. The most usual heroes used here are melee heroes with low mana usage, so they have good sustainability in the lane. For example, Greystone, Grunt and Grux. But they are not the only ones that can fit this role. If you already have some frontliners in your team such as Severog jungling and are still supporting, you can have an extra caster here in this lane. They have good CC, can stay away from danger with their ability range and also poke the carry, making sure that their carry has to back more or risk dying. The biggest issue here is that the casters rely on their mana pool, and if they use it too much they have to back a lot more often, leaving the tower at risk. But again, this is rarely used but is possible only in the right team composition. However, they're not the only one that fits this role. Countless and Kalari can fit this role too. Countless, even though quite weak, has very good wave clear, so just needs to stay careful, and Kalari is somewhat similar. Whenever an enemy team has a Kalari, you always have to be super careful as a carry, so that's always a plus. So this role has a lot of variety, but we're mainly going to focus on the melee hero role here, as 90% of the time this is who you're going to be playing in the offlane. The way you want to build very early on is a lot of health regen. It is very underrated stat at the moment. Getting the health tokens, and if the hero has the affinity order, there's multiple ways of getting health regen. Such on this Grunt I can get the Silver Spear card which adds health regen. You only want to keep this health regen for the first 10 to 15 minutes, and you can have around a good 15 per second. The reason you want health regen is that you can stay on the field a lot longer and you don't have to worry about getting bullied so much. You can take a few hits, hide under your tower and regen safely. But like I said, in the mid game comes along, it's better to get rid of the health regen and focus on your other cards. Grabbing a ward early on is useful too, not as much as other heroes and roles, but it does help. I usually have an empty ward card I place instantly and then go back for my actual cards. You're not really going to get ganked unless you push up for some reason, but a good goal is to deny your carry and support their wards. Placing your ward right in the middle of the main two ward positions being the T-junction and right next to the fog wall means you can see both wards and destroy them, or even make them risk destroying your ward by dropping down into the jungle. Now there really is two types of carry and support combos, the aggressive type or denying your experience type. The aggressive type will push you all the way to your tower, trying to kill you and push your tower as quickly as possible. You have to stay very safe in this matter, killing minions under your tower, and you should expect being hit a lot. If they have a support that can stun, you do have to be even more careful. Remember, you're not meant to be winning this lane but just holding on. You need to hope your jungler knows to help your lane out first. Same goes if your mid laner isn't doing much. Always take a look at the offlaner to see if they need help. If either especially the jungler help gank and put pressure under the carry or support, this will be great. Even getting a few kills on the carry is a massive denying them farm. Now if they're playing more cautiously and trying to deny you farm, there's always a few things you have to do. One is stay within the range of the experience from the minions. If you didn't know, the advantage the offlaner get is they gain hero levels a lot faster than the two together as they split the experience. The only problem here is that you have to stay within the range of the minions dying to get it, and if they're trying to keep the lane not pushed up so the carry can farm, you know they're against a good duo team. To stay in experience range, it's about a bit longer than the basic attack range of Drain's characters. Of course the lane will eventually get pushed so you can start farming, but just be aware of this. As it goes for denying the carry farm, you really have to rely on your team here, unless one of them backs and you can try and strike the other one down. Especially Greystone, once he hits level 5 his resurrection ability is very deadly. The only other time they are vulnerable is taking the gold buff, as early on it packs quite a punch, so if you know they are low you can counter, do so. Scare them off, getting the gold buff is still a big win. If your team doesn't help you, there's not much you can do really, but just keep you and your tower alive for as long as possible. Now if the situation comes that your tower is destroyed, and sometimes there's not much you can do about it, if you have to back because you're low, you have to. Make sure to pin to your team in time to help you so someone can come over and defend the lane. Now when the tower's full, it does give you some freedom, and the majority of the time the towers will be taken by the 20-minute mark. You can farm more safely when the lane is pushed, but also means the carrying support may be pushing other lanes, so make sure your team is aware of this. A few big things an offlaner needs to remember are that the offlane is your lane. It doesn't matter what time of the game it is, but if the lane is getting pushed, not in your favour, you have to go back and make sure your tower isn't getting pushed. It's one of the secret rules of Paragon. I see too many times the offlaner just leaves the lane unattended for the rest of the game and leaves it up to the mid laner or jungler to clear. This can cause confusion or even the 2 tower being lost earlier than expected. And that pretty much covers it. Once that 20-minute mark or so is hit, you can be helping the team out in fight and keeping your lane in check. You still want to ward your lane, as the enemy carry will most likely want to stay there and farm, and having a visual them and see if they're overextending would be a nice bonus to have. For trying to take their tier 1 tower, it really won't happen unless you start to split push lanes. If a fight is going on middle, you can take the time to push the lane up fast. Again, if you're more of a melee tank hero, you can hopefully get the tower down in one big push. Just be cautious and let your team know to help you. In solo play it can be tough and feel hard done by when you don't get any support. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and let me know what Paragon video you want me to do next in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.